Good morning, Transpac race fans. I'm Dobbs Davis from Seahorse Magazine, here to give you the 14 July analysis of this great race from LA to Honolulu. As you can see by our Yellowbick tracking, we've got three distinct groups now out on the race course. Divisions 7 and 8, who started on Monday, Divisions 4, 5, and 6, who started Thursday, and then our fast divisions 1, 2, and 3, and our multi-hull division that are over here just getting off the coast. So let's look into each one of them. Now, we've got so many boats on the course in these groups, I'm going to use my tools over here on the left side to just divide things out, and we'll look at them accordingly. So I'm going to take out some of these tracks just to make it a little bit easier to see. So now we're just going to be looking at divisions 1, 2, and 3. Maybe I'll keep the multi-hulls in there. We'll come across here, scroll in, and just have a look at how these fast boats got off the course yesterday. There was really a nice breeze at the start, gentle westerly breeze, typical sea breeze for Southern California this time of year, 8 to 10 knot westerly. As you can see by the tracks, when we scroll in just a little bit more, there we go, that everybody was laying the west end almost got around there, but didn't quite, so everybody tacked, and then once they got headed with the southwesterly going back a little bit to the west, they tacked back to starboard. And you can see by the nice straight tracks that the breeze was pretty steady, and the boats were moving along quite nicely last night. Now, what's been happening is they've been speeding up as they've been getting offshore. The wind, as you can see now by our cursor, 327, 19 knots. It's quite a bit different than the start that the Thursday groups had. That was not very good when they got off the coast. So this group is doing quite nicely. Let's look into a little bit into each one. In Division 1, these are our fastest monohulls out here. These are the boats, some with canting keels, some not. And of course, Ragamuffin 100, Sid Fisher's Elliott 100-foot canting keel boat is moving along nicely, 16.5 knots at last report. Now remember that these tracking devices have 6-hour delay, so it's possible they're going faster as they get further offshore and into more breeze. Maserati Volvo 70 is not that far behind them and going almost as fast. So they're certainly very powerful boats, able to carry a lot of sail area with all the stability from the canting keel. Now this boat, Wizard, is our strongest barn door trophy contender because they are a fixed keel boat. They do not have a canting keel, and they're taking quite a different track. Probably not carrying quite as much sail as these guys are, but moving along nicely. Their strategy is at this stage is to try to stay pretty close to run line. I think they want to minimize the distance that they sail. They could put up more sail, but they couldn't hold that high track. If they put up more sail, they'd go faster, but they'd dive. They would have to dive south. So the team on this boat has opted to just keeping a high road, go fast with what they have at that angle. And then Tom Holtis's Bad Pack is an STP 65, not very far behind Wizard, so they're doing nicely. Invisible Hand over here, and then on corrected time, we've got these two boats. Sorry, that's Fado. That's a multi-hull, the 66-foot gunboat, Morelli and Melvin design. But Peligroso is the Kernan 70 from Mexico. They're also down here on a low road, taking a low track. If we go to Division 2, this is quite a tight race here. With Division 2, these are the TP52s. As you can see on the screen here, BCOM Grins. KLC Bengal 7 is actually a little bit larger than a TP52. But let me come in a little tighter so we can resolve these guys. They're very close indeed between each of these boats. These guys are going to be pushing each other hard the entire way to Hawaii. There's BCOM in the lead. This is probably the newest TP52 design, an ex-Med Cup boat that's been configured for Transpac. They've got a mixed Japanese and Kiwi crew. Very strong team indeed. So no surprise that they're taking the early lead boat for boat. Natalie J is also an ex Med Cup TP52 of a little bit older design, but this team from Detroit and the Great Lakes are also quite good sailors. They've given up on doing the Chicago Mac race, which started yesterday, to do the Transpac, but they're taking a nice lead out here in the middle ground. Rick Orchard's Grins is an older TP52, as are some of these. Meany and actually Rapid Transit is not a TP52, an Entrim 49. This boat is, from what I understand from my friends at LA Yacht Club, is a local program. A lot of the engineering on that boat was done by the owner and his colleagues. So it's good to see that they're doing well and hanging in with this group. KLC Bengal 7 and Varuna. This is the farthest traveled boat for sure for this Transpac. This boat coming from Germany to do the race. This is a Care 51. Jens Kellinghusen and his team from Hamburg and Kiel and Flensburg in northern Germany. They are doing the world tour of races around the world, and they're here on Transpac on their way to do other races in the Pacific later in the season. So this is going to be quite a tight group to watch throughout this race. Now, if we go to Division 3, this is also going to be an interesting group to watch. These are the sleds, the ULDB sleds that really reigned supreme in Transpac throughout the late 80s and early 90s. Alchemy up in the high road, Grand Illusion, which has won the race on corrected time at least twice that I know of. But right now leading on corrected time is Dave Team and Doug Baker's Retro. This is Santa Cruz 70. Maverick going low. So they're setting themselves up for something. You can see a kink in the tracks here. It could be a sail change that these teams made to from a headsail to a reaching sail. But look at Pyewacket. Pyewacket has got an all-star team. Very, very well prepared boat, and Andrew 70 that is taking the early lead in this group. Last and certainly not least are our two multi-hulls. We'll have to scroll out because they are quite a bit separated. So Fado, the orange Morelli and Melvin design, is probably just now getting into its good breeze at 19 knots of wind up in here. Actually getting a little less wind in here, but I think that boat needs a bit of breeze to get going. Being a big catamaran, but this is the boat that's really leading the charge here. Is Lending Club. John Sangmeister's converted Orma 73 trimaran. This boat is moving quite fast, 21.7 knots at this report. The big question is whether they'll be able to sustain that speed. We'll be looking at some progs, and fingers crossed maybe they'll have a shot at the multi-hull record. Okay, so let's now examine our group that started on Thursday and see how they're going. They've had nice straight tracks over the last 24 hours, with a couple of exceptions that are kind of interesting. This boat, Funnel Web, is what I think is a bit of an open 50 type design. They're diving off to the south. They must have made some sail selection, some type of spinnaker that's they got to sail this angle that takes them quite far south, but they're moving along nicely, 9.1 knots. Also taking the low road since yesterday is Criminal Mischief, the Reichel Pew 45. They're going along at 10.2 knots, quite good speed. But then up here close to the ley line, Bretwalda 3, that's why they have the crown there. They're doing well in corrected time. Rogers 46, they are really moving along nicely as well, 10.4 knots, and not sailing as long a distance, being close to the rum line. So they're certainly ones to watch. Horizon, the Santa Cruz 50, they've been traditionally doing quite well in that 50s group of Santa Cruz 50s and Santa Cruz 52s. And then down over here, Varuna 46 from Newport Beach. They're a similar boat here to Bretwalda. They're kind of taking the middle road. A couple of guys diverting north. Kahuna, One Design 35. Very different track than their sister ship Alpha Puppy down here. Again, this is probably due to different sail selections, as the boats are still reaching at this stage, and who has the right sails to be sailing at these angles. And up here, Medusa, this 52, also likely to have switched to some other headsail rather than a spinnaker to take that high track. Now we'll go to divisions 7 and 8 and see how our Monday starters are doing out at just about the midway point for them in the race. You can see they're much more spread out than these other groups. And the other thing to notice, of course, is their radical change in track. What's happening here is that the breeze is shifting left. They're getting lifted, so they're no longer sailing at these reaching angles. Some of them have opted to jibe. So from this point forward, these teams are basically on a downwind leg to Hawaii. So as they get wind shifts that favor the other jibe, they'll jibe over to port. The lead boat out here, Manatea, they've been leading the entire race for this group, trucking along nicely at 9.3 knots. So again, you look at these tracks, you can see that they're sailing the shifts downwind. So this has really become a downwind leg for them. Over here is, I believe, the two Japanese teams having a nice match race. It'll be very interesting to see who's the first one to jibe away, but these guys are only separated by a mile or two, so they're having a great time going to Hawaii. I wanted to go over to our weather models. Yesterday I was actually mistaken when I said that this was a European model on this weatheronline.co.uk site. In fact, what I was showing was the GFS. I did find this model, ECMWF. This is the one that my friends at Commander's Weather really like. They think this is a good mid and long range model. So on a model run that was done last night for a 24-hour prog, this is what we're looking at. Isobars nice and tight for the beginning of the race, producing that great breeze. If we go up to 48 hours, so this will be basically tomorrow morning or late tonight. You can see the breeze is supported by still a strengthening high, 1036 up in the North Pacific, and isobars nice and tight to produce a lot of breeze. But where things start to get interesting is here, 72 hours out from, let's see, in Pacific time, this would be last night, so this would be tomorrow night, 72 hours, tomorrow night through Tuesday is where things are going to start to get interesting as these isobars move out. Now, my friends at Commander say that there could be generating a little local low in here. This wide isobar spacing is really what's going to be a worry for the teams because the wind will get quite light. There's another site you can go to, which is Weather Underground. If you get over to the right side, you can find this ECMWF model. You can look at and select what you'd like to see, whether it's isobars or wind speed in knots. The same model run was done, and I selected 72 hours. Now here, wind speeds are color-coded, so even though it looks quite complex in the way that the streamlines are drawn quite close together, if you look at the color coding, it'll give you an idea. Here's Hawaii over here. Here is Los Angeles, so our rumline track is intersecting this feature here, which was that wide isobar spacing and that local low. This is the one that people want to avoid. So again, this is 72 hours out from last night, so this will be basically Tuesday night. And Tuesday day and Tuesday night is when this thing is going to start to develop. So this is the minefield everybody wants to avoid. We'll see what their strategy is. Some have opted for a low road. The faster boats like Wizard have elected to stay on the rum line. They think maybe they can beat this thing, but this is the big one to watch for the next couple of days. So with that, I'll wrap up my analysis for now. This is Dobbs Davis from Seahorse Magazine. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you tomorrow morning.